How many times have you heard these phrases?
Change is the only constant.
Is it too late to change?
If only I could, I'd really want to change this.
In this channel, you don't have to wonder. We are going to interview people who really make a difference to this world.
Let their stories inspire and empower you to create the change you want to see.
Who knows, you could be the next change maker.
Welcome to the Change Makers.
Hi, I'm Sakala,
And I'm Leo.
and welcome to another episode of
The Change Makers.
So, if I was to describe today's guest, there would be only one word: OG, the original, the person who broke the rules, the person who did everything first. It would be safe to say, Leo, that he needs no introduction, don't you think?
I agree.
Yes, but it is my job to introduce him.
Yeah.
I introduce, ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Khalifa Haroun. Hi, Khalifa.
Hi, how are
Welcome
you
to the
doing?
show.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Welcome to the show. I agree with Sakla that you don't need any introduction at all. Because, Mr. Q has been like a staple name about Qatar and all the information you're giving, how you're helping the country. So, but let me go to the first question. Mr. Q and Khalifa Al Haroun, okay? If you're going to be introducing Mr. Q separately from Khalifa Al Haroun, how would you do it? So maybe let's go introduce Mr. Q first and then introduce Khalifa Al Haroun.
Yeah, the thing is, you're now putting me in a situation where you're forcing me to split between the two, and I don't.
Yeah. No,
Mr. Q,
the reason I'm asking is we know there are characters that we love, like say John Wick or Neo of
Yeah.
the Matrix. We all have come to love this character, and we love it as a character because that's how they present themselves in the media. But we don't know the story behind. Like if you hear
Is he a
about
Clark Kent or is he Superman?
no. If you hear about the star of Neo, off cam he's a really good guy, and he gives almost his paycheck to the staff and all those things. So maybe there's that kind of side for you, Mr. Q and Khalifa Al Haroun. So we'd like to know.
I mean, I don't think so. I mean,
Yeah.
Mr. Q isn't a character, and
Yeah.
it's not an alter ego or anything. And I think that most people, whenever if you speak to them and they've met
Yeah.
me, they'll tell you that what you see online and
Is
what's
what
in
you-
reality
yeah.
is the same.
Yes.
And so I don't separate, between the two.
Good.
I don't separate
Yeah.
between work and personal life. I don't separate, between Mr. Q and Khalifa.
And
I don't.
Khalifa.
But the way that Mr. Q as a nickname, came about was a lot of people thought that Mr. Q stands for like Mr. Qatar.
Yeah.
Which could be the case, but that wasn't the reason. It was because I was answering people's questions online.
Yes.
And
Question
so,
about
Okay.
so that's where it was, that's where the Q
Alright,
came
alright.
from.
Yeah.
And it just kind of stuck,
And even Q-tips, right? Is it like kind of a spin-off on
On
Qatari
Mr. Q,
tips?
yeah.
On
So it's Qatari tips, bite-sized Qatari tips, Then
Yes,
also
yes,
is because
yes.
we were busting a lot of myths.
Yes.
And so Q-tips are also known as earbuds, And
Yes.
so it's like we're cleaning people's ears out so that they know what the truth is,
Interesting.
Good
Yeah.
one.
But so that's how kind of like how it happened. And I really do hope, that, as I said, people, they don't see the difference. Well, a lot of people don't even know my name. They just know me as Mr. Q.
Yes, yes,
They don't
that's
even
right.
know my real
Yes,
name.
yes.
But that's okay. It's fine.
You would be living under a stone if you didn't know who Khalifa was. But that's another story altogether.
Yeah.
So your journey has been vast, right? I know you from being a tech entrepreneur, a social media influencer. I also know you as somebody who's done, I won't call stand-up comedy, but you did bring a whole bunch of stand-up comedy. So if I was to ask you, what is Khalifa Haroun? What do you do? How do you describe yourself?
What do I do? I think I do what I want to do in the moment. I work on projects that I wish to see, exist, in the country.
Yeah.
And a lot of the times what I'll do is I'll end up like putting like a message out there. I'm like, oh, somebody should do this. And then like 6 months later, nobody's done anything. So like, you know what, I'll do it myself. So I mean, my attitude has always been like, I want other people to do things, but if nobody will do it, I'll do it,
If you want to get it done right, you do it yourself.
Yeah, but it shouldn't be the case,
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I mean, it's like I put my money where my mouth is, at the end of the day. Whenever I say that I wish something exists, if nobody's willing to do it and I can do it, I'll give it a go.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think, I'm the type of person that takes risks, and I'd like to do new things. And luckily, whenever I've built any of my projects or worked on any of the cool new things, I've had people that buy into the vision and want to be a part of it. And so my success, again, this is something that's super important, is nothing, it's not just me, right? There's a huge team of people around me that work on these projects that help me to succeed. And what I like to do is like I'll take a project, I'll build it up, I'll start it up, I'll build the team, teach them how they need to do it, and then I'll hand it over, and then I'll be there to oversee, but then they can run the show, so I can take my time to work on the next thing.
So you have a background, I believe, in law, in investment banking, but you went and started all these platforms, I Love Qatar, and you've been really successful at it. Now, what's the motivation behind, moving from that original profession, if you may, into doing the passion or pursuing the passion?
There was no motivation to move. It wasn't like, hey, let me just move over. I was always the type of person that wanted to be in the media industry,
All right.
And one story that I share, quite often is that one time when I had graduated, from high school.
Here in Qatar?
No, in Bahrain.
Okay.
I decided that I wanted to be the first Qatari actor in Hollywood.
Wow.
That was my dream.
Okay.
And having traditional, I guess, parents, especially with my dad, he didn't want me to do that. He wanted me to get a real job. And so I ended up finding out that, I had a knack for spotting mistakes and arguing and debating and discussing. And so I decided, you know what? The closest thing to acting in a job would probably be a lawyer in court, because you'd have to act a little bit, And yeah, that's why I studied law. But always my passion, was to do something, related to media and to create cool content. And then the other part was I always loved technology. So, but yeah, so I mean, I was the type of person that I would always like take different electronics apart, and just start to tinker and play with it and that sort of thing. Luckily, my mom supported that, and who would have thought, I went from enjoying tech to having the biggest tech retail store in the country, So again, I want anyone who is listening to this podcast to know that it's not a master plan. I had no...
We're going to come to that.
Yeah, it just happened.
Welcome to the Change Makers.
Welcome back to the channel, and we are in conversation with Khalifa Haroun. Khalifa, you have over... how many years have you been doing this?
I think this year is going to be our 15th anniversary for I Love Qatar.
Yeah, and overall?
Again, I don't separate between work and life. I've been, I guess, working on cool new projects, ever since I was a kid.
Yeah, so, okay, so about 15 years. You've received many awards, many accolades, many applauses, many people have recognized you. Which of those stand out most to you? I mean, most important. Like, when were you proudest?
You like to make people choose, huh?
Yeah.
There's no such thing as... The thing is, it's not a choice. It's like if you have kids and you tell your kids, and they say, which is your favorite,
No,
there's no choice.
I mean, which one is closest to your heart, maybe?
No, I really, there's none that is close to my heart. Okay, honestly, I don't do anything in my life with the goal of getting an award for it,
Okay, excellent.
When I do get an award, of course, I appreciate it. And it's lovely to know that people acknowledge, the effort and work that I put into it. But that's not my goal, It's never my goal. That's just a bonus on top of all of the things, that I've done.
Yeah.
I mean, I've had, lots of really nice moments, I remember the first time, it's not an award, but moments that come to my mind is the first time, somebody in Qatar, walked up to me, asked me for an autograph, I was more excited than that person. I was like, oh, that's cool, So I remember that moment. In fact, I remember it was actually in Hyatt Plaza Mall. That's where it happened,
That's so cool.
And it happened at a time when we were raising funds. Remember, there was a tsunami that happened in Japan.
Yes.
And so we were trying to do some charitable work, for that. And that's when it happened, The first time I had a meeting, with a group of volunteers that wanted to help me, with I Love Qatar, And they all worked for free, 100%. They're like, we just love what you're trying to do and let's do it,
That's so it's not an award. It's more the experiences that you will remember.
Yeah, it's moments,
Moments.
Yeah, and I think that's more important. I think My advice to anyone is like, don't chase awards. It's
That's true.
That's true.
it's not worth your time.
That's
Yeah,
true.
yeah,
I'll never receive an award, so I really wouldn't know the feeling. But yeah, why not?
Yeah.
When you see, sometimes you'll see people with shelves and shelves and shelves of awards.
Yeah.
Half of them are probably bought.
Yeah.
So-
That's the new trend
Yes,
right
yes,
now. Yes, that's true.
I think that's the reason why you're also so successful at creating these brands, because people actually just resonate with what you're doing.
Yeah.
You've created I Love Qatar.net, you've Rakami TV, you have 974 Store, I believe,
Yeah.
just the recent
Yeah.
one. And when you started, you have this comedy, what was
Festival.
that? Yeah, you have that platform that you've created as well. So, what is the secret sauce to making all of these platforms so successful?
I mean, I think when I work on a project, I don't work on multiple projects at once. That's number one.
Okay.
Okay.
It's so easy to get distracted. It's
Yes.
so
Yeah.
easy, to try to divide yourself, in half. And guess what? You're only going to give half the effort on each project, right?
Correct.
So what I do is I literally work on one project at a time. I make sure that it is self-sufficient, and then I work on the next thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I say that's number one. And then number two, I love, especially through social media and through my channels, sharing my journey with the people so that they can see the struggles I go through. That I'm not, unlike other people. I don't try to always show like the good side. You'll see, like I complain sometimes. I'll have crying
Yeah,
moments.
yeah,
I'll have all that sort of. And
I love the moments of your little pooch sitting on your chest.
it's
It's the cutest.
a mix, though, right?
Yes, it's a mix.
And so so I think when people they start seeing your project and they see the journey you're going through, people get a sense of ownership as well, and they feel like, oh, I'm part of seeing this baby grow.
Yes.
And so then they want to see that succeed.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think just being transparent, with the community. I remember, for example, when 974 first opened up. Again, I never knew it would become the biggest gaming store in the Middle East. But I remember like what some of the complaints that people took, shared with us was like, oh, your prices were too high. And this is when we first opened up. The way that a business works is that
Yes.
the more product you order, the lower your cost is going to be.
Absolutely.
Because I was a tiny little shop,
Yeah.
I couldn't buy many pieces, so my
Yeah.
prices were high.
Yeah.
And I remember when people complained, I literally spoke on social and I said, listen, guys, on the 974 channel, we know our prices are high,
Yeah.
but I'm going to make you guys a promise. You guys work with us, you buy from us, help us to grow,
Yeah.
and our prices will go down and you guys will get the benefit. I
Yeah.
promise.
Wow.
And today we're cheaper than Amazon,
Yeah.
So,
I know. I have friends who buy gaming stuff from you for their kids.
yeah.
And she said it's really bad for my for my husband's wallet. But I mean, she said it in a joking way.
Yeah.
But she obviously doing because nowadays everybody's very price conscious.
Yeah.
Right? So they have to do it. You say that you're cheaper than Amazon, and Amazon is an online portal. How do you manage to make 974, which is a brick and mortar establishment, as successful as
So
it
it's not easy because my net profit, and I'm always very public with anything I don't, is 6%. I mean, if you look at the electronics industry, for example, in the US, the industry average is around 1.7%. So we
Yeah.
are still higher than the industry average.
Yeah.
But if we compare us to other businesses in the country, whether it is, for example, furniture, or let's say fashion, they are looking at upwards of 70% margins.
Correct. Yes.
So the reason why we're
Fashion
successful,
definitely is, yeah.
is because I don't need to put so much profit in my pocket. I've built a relationship with the customers where they know that they're going to get a good deal and they know I'm going to take care of them.
Yeah.
So yeah, the way that I compete is just literally by not being greedy.
How do you
Yes,
get
yes.
ahead of the curve in terms of what is the latest in gaming? I mean, are you a gamer yourself?
I mean, I play like Overwatch now and then. When I have the time, I try to play. Maybe on my Nintendo Switch. When I have a
lovely.
chance.
I know that.
Yeah, a little bit of Zelda or something.
Yeah, I'm
But
so bad at it.
but it's a nice de-stressor,
Yeah. Extremely, extremely well distressor.
Now, I'm curious to know, most people, when they set out to be an online influencer, they will stay in that area. I want to just grow my channel and everything. But I have seldom seen people who, after a grand success in their online presence, being an influencer, they will go out and actually set up a brick and mortar store. Is this the trend, or is this the path that you would also advise?
I mean, I would
people to
advise
go there?
everyone
Yeah?
to do that.
I think he's an outlier.
Yeah, exactly.
Everybody should do it. First of all, I want to be clear. I never consider myself an influencer. and I don't think anybody should consider themselves influencers. I think it's the wrong attitude, it's the wrong mindset to have.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because you don't get to decide if you're an influencer. The people decide if you're an
decide, yeah.
influencer.
Yeah.
I always focused on creating cool content, right? That was so. I'm a creator, not an influencer. And then luckily, people enjoyed the content that I was putting out
Exactly.
there.
Yes.
And I started to generate some revenue I was making, and I was investing my money, in different projects because it's all about diversification.
Yeah.
You don't want to put all your eggs in one basket.
Yeah.
And I'll share with you an example of how that benefited me later, especially during COVID. But I also acknowledge, that I'm getting older, right? And there's going to be a time where the newer generations already happening, are going to be taking over, and they'll be the next Mr. Q or
Yes.
whatever it is, or Miss
Yeah.
Q. I will have to step aside, right?
Yeah.
I don't believe in the mentality of like, no, I'm going to try to hold on to my title for as long as possible. You know what I mean? No, it doesn't work,
Doesn't work.
Yeah.
And you need to make room for the next generation. So, okay, if I'm making room for them in my space that I'm currently in, then I need to make sure that I create other spaces. In this case, it would be retail or events or that sort of thing. So that's one of the reasons, that I did that.
Okay.
And when I talk about the reason for diversification, if I look at three main companies, which is I Love Qatar Media Group, and then I look at the Social Studio, which is events management, and then I look at 974.
Yeah.
Social Studio went bankrupt during COVID because I couldn't do any events.
Yes.
I Love Qatar was sustainable, because it was still making some money off from different advertisers, but it wasn't growing.
Yeah.
And then 974 blew up, because everybody now is at home. Everybody needed a laptop or a computer or a webcam.
Yes.
So again, I want to say I didn't have this master plan. I knew how I wanted to operate, but the success was also circumstantial. It was
True.
I was lucky. Sounds weird to say lucky that COVID happened.
Yeah, I know what you
But
mean.
but I was lucky.
Yeah.
My shop stayed open during COVID, even though I was in the Gate Mall, because my shop had had a door outside, and so anyone that was on the street was considered a standalone shop.
Correct.
Wasn't a mall shop.
Yeah.
So all the shops in the malls had to
Were
close,
closed, yeah.
except for me,
Yeah. Oh
because
my God.
I could stay open. So I got lucky in the sense that the situation helped me.
Yeah.
But then I also was unlucky with other businesses. Now, if I only had that one business and I didn't diversify,
Yes.
Exactly. Yes.
everything would have been gone. I wouldn't be
Everything
sitting
would
here
have
today.
gone. Yes, absolutely.
So
Yeah.
my advice to anyone is don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Good
Oh,
advice.
that's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're going to take a break, and we'll come back with more talk about the future of Mr. Q and what we're going to be expecting from him.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Change Makers.
Welcome back. Today we're with Khalifa Haroun, and we are going to be talking about the future of Mr. Q and I Love Qatar. But before that, I have one very important question to ask. How do you stay authentic in an industry that's driven by trends and numbers?
By not focusing on trends and numbers. Simple as that.
Very nice answer.
I mean,
Yeah.
I really do whatever I want to do. And I have some friends, that have really become slave to the algorithm,
Yes.
and they will do whatever it takes, to get that next view dopamine
like,
hit,
and all those
and
things.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
it's a problem, and so
Yeah.
I really do what I like
And the rest will follow.
and hope, that other people like what I like,
Exactly.
It just makes me happy, right? And I think it all goes down to one, what's your target? How do you measure your own personal success,
Yeah.
and happiness? And you answering the question, why are you doing what you're doing? Am I doing this to make money? I'm not saying it's fine. That could be a reason, right?
Yes.
Am I doing it because I just want views? Am I doing it because it really genuinely makes me happy? Am I doing what I'm doing because I love talking about mobile phones, and I enjoy it and I want to talk about it with a community that I want to build?
Yeah.
Why are you doing what you're doing? And once you know what the why is, that'll help keep you in check, I get depressed sometimes. For example, when on Rakami TV, where I'm making 500,000 views, a video, and then all of a sudden one of my videos gets 100,000, I do get upset.
Exactly.
Of course, yeah. Like, oh my God, why?
I
How
think
did
it's
I?
everyone,
Because you feel like what did I do wrong? You know what I mean? But of course it's also depends on your perspective. For some people they'd be happy with just 10,000 views.
Yeah.
I remember when I first put my first content, I was happy when I hit my first 100 views. Like, oh wow, that's really cool.
Exactly, yeah.
So regardless of what happened, like sometimes you do feel a sense of loss.
Yes.
But you can't let it control you.
Exactly. Do you ever get that creator's fatigue in the way you think of the content? That
Yeah,
you're
I mean, I think
putting out
I'm
there?
at the point in my life now
Yeah.
where
Like writers have a writer's block, that kind of thing.
I don't think I get writer's block, but maybe more on the fatigue side in the
Fatigue
sense
side,
that
yeah.
like I'm like, oh my god, what do I have to do today? You know, so it's
Well, I hope we were not one of them.
but yeah, no. I mean, today when I was on the way to you guys, because I'm also doing this this hot lap, in Lucille Circuit.
Yeah.
And I'm an AMG fan,
Yeah.
and I drive an AMG car,
Oh,
and I'm going to
yes,
be
of
with
course.
the
The Mercedes team.
the Mercedes team.
Yes. Toto? Are you meeting Toto?
So I don't know who I'm meeting, to be
Okay.
honest. And that's another thing, by the way. Like even when you ask me questions, who I'm meeting, whatever, I don't want to know. That's another because I don't want to think about it too much. I want to be in the moment.
Lovely.
And be surprised because otherwise, if I know what's happening and then I get there, then I have to fake excitement, and I don't want to fake any of
yes,
that. I want
yes,
it to be, live.
No, I was genuinely nervous for you coming, okay? So
No. I'm just,
But I think that's a secret why you look so authentic whenever you're on camera, because you're just in the moment, and I really
100%.
admire that. I really admire.
you can't overthink things,
Exactly,
man. You
yeah,
just definitely can't. But talking about the content creation, like while I went on the way to you, I was thinking, let me film the video, the reel that I have to do. This is why I really hate it when clients ask for reels, okay? Because reels mean I have to plan.
Yes,
Stories, I don't have to plan. I just do it in the moment, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to film the car, and then I'm going to pick up the magazine, then when I'm going to arrive, what's the transition I'm going to do? And so, it gets tired because I'm like, why am I thinking of all of this,
Yeah.
And you get to a point where sometimes when you work with clients, they try to tell you what to do,
Yes.
and I am the most stubborn person when it comes to being told what to do. So tell me what to do.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
I was just going to recommend you to someone.
Because if you want to work with me, it means you like me or you trust me.
Yes, exactly.
So let me
So
do
let
my
your
thing,
vision- Your vision. Your
Exactly.
vision.
Totally agree.
So you've been doing this for a long time, and I know. I've known you, and I've followed you, and I love Qatar. I've got so many tips, right? The Q post tip, which I was telling Leo about, picking it up. Big mistake. My husband and me both shocked till we dropped for the US. The US thing. When you look back at your life, like
Which can I just say, by the way?
Yeah.
Like the Kiko post, or if I'm working with any entities who ask me to create content and so on,
Yeah.
I don't care how much somebody pays me. If I don't believe it or the service is terrible, I will
You'll say
reject
no.
it. So
Yes, that's
I
a
want
good
people
thing.
to be confident that anything that I do recommend or talk about,
Yes.
even when it's a sponsored thing,
Yeah.
I
use it,
still
yeah.
believe in it.
And it's good.
Yeah.
It's all good.
Yeah, because it's
everything
my
is-
name on the line.
Yes,
Exactly.
exactly.
Yeah.
So coming back to your name on the line, when you're gonna look back at your life, what do you think your legacy is gonna be?
We spend our life working hard so that we can have the most comfortable life possible, right? Buying all the things you want to buy, and
Yeah.
having the latest and greatest, and again, that's totally fine. Working towards a life that makes you happy. If that's what makes you happy, great. But when we die, you don't take any of this to heaven or to the afterlife. The only thing that actually remains when you're gone is your reputation. That's the
Correct.
only thing. How are people going to remember you by?
Yeah.
And people are not going to remember you. You remember your whole biography. People typically remember, and think about it right now, right? Anybody who's listening to this podcast or watching this podcast,
Yeah.
okay? Think about someone that's passed away, and you will usually think of that person in one sentence,
Yes.
That's
right?
Yeah.
So for me, the only legacy that I want to leave behind is that when people remember me, they remember that Khalifa was a good man. That's it.
Lovely.
Just he was a good guy.
So
Yeah.
is that a lesson you want to tell the world? Just be good. Just be kind.
Yeah, I mean, it's my baby sister. I share the story often. When I was quite young, I was watching Ninja Turtles, and she walks up to me and she gives me a glass of water, and I was laying down on the sofa, and I said to her, I didn't ask for water. She said, yeah, but you look thirsty. And I said, yeah, but how do I look thirsty? She said, I don't know, but it's nice to be nice. And so it was one of those
Very
lessons,
nice lesson.
from a child.
Yeah,
Very
very
nice
nice.
lesson.
You don't need a reason to do something nice.
Nice, yes.
Exactly,
Don't ask me why. Just
Yes,
do
yes,
something nice.
yes.
Yeah.
And so I think it's really important for people to always think about their actions and how will people say that was a good thing to do? or not. So that's the legacy that I hope to leave behind in a line. But then it's also broken up. You should ask your question: how do you want general people to remember you? How do you want your family to remember you?
Yes.
I want my my family to feel like that I was a loving person and I took care of them.
Yeah.
How do you
Your
want your
colleagues.
country to remember
Country,
you?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
I would hope that Qatar appreciates the time and effort and sacrifice that I've made to protect and to promote
Yeah.
Qatar. You
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
So as long as
How do you deal with trolls then?
when I was very young, I think it was very difficult because again I'm a very emotional person, and so it
Because
really got to me.
I got into an argument with somebody on you remember there was somebody who said you had said something and somebody posted, and I edited my comment, and
Yeah.
then the person had obviously clicked on my comment and found out that I'd edited it, so he
Yeah.
started trying to.
No, I don't know that.
And you inboxed me and said, "Don't bother. He's a troll. Don't get involved."
Yeah.
And it was such good advice. I was going. My habit is to, because I grew up in Bombay.
Yeah.
My habit is to not let a fight out. Like you have to argue it out.
Okay, so there's two sides to this, yeah?
Yeah.
So I do support having a civil debate or an argument online.
Yeah.
I do support it.
Yeah.
I do think that trolls, if you let them go, they just go rampant,
Yes.
So you need to put trolls in their place.
Yeah.
And most of the time, you will have your own community to back you. It's going to be
Correct.
your
I've
army
had
versus
that.
one or two stupid
Yes.
people, right?
Yes.
But then from the other side, you can't let a troll get to you or hurt you.
Correct.
So I actually have a switch in my mind. I literally just switch off. Like,
Yeah.
I don't care. I care about who cares about me. And you can usually tell nowadays the people who are just desperate for attention. Just
Yeah.
as you have influencers desperate for views,
Yes.
Yes,
trolls are
yes, yes,
equally
yes.
desperate for views
Yes.
off of your misery.
True. Yes.
True.
So why care about that?
I commented,
It took time though.
I commented on a political post today.
Yeah.
Which I normally, and it wasn't a bad comment. It was just a comment. And the guy wrote to me it was about the Canada-India
Yeah.
thing. And he said something about you Canadian. And I looked at him and I wrote underneath, I said, I'm an Indian from India.
Yeah.
I don't know which part of the commentary was a reflection of me being
Yeah.
from any other country. But they just want to.
Yeah, because most people, not trolls, right? People in general, they hear what they want to hear and they believe what they want to believe.
Yeah.
And it's very rare
Exactly.
to find people who are willing to change their mind. Yeah? I'm the type of person.
You haven't met my family, right? That's my entire family.
But it's very common, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm always open to changing my mind, and I'll challenge you, and you go, okay, tell me. And then sometimes I'll be like, you know what? I didn't think about it that way. And that's because I think I'm an open-minded individual. But most people, like when you're talking, in your case, it's like you're saying something,
Yeah.
someone's arguing with you, and then you realize by the end of the conversation, you both are arguing the same thing.
Yeah, exactly.
But you were just eager for the fight,
Fight,
Yeah.
yes.
you know?
And you want to have the last word.
You want to have the last word. I have a lot of these types of arguments,
Yes,
and
yes,
sometimes
yes.
you start to learn the tricks that trolls try to play, right? So like a troll will sometimes say, "So you're saying that," and they'll say something completely that you never said. You never said that.
Exactly, yeah.
And so typically I'd be like, "Actually, no, I didn't say that. If you could please," and I'm very civil. Could you please quote what I've said that led you to believe that's what I meant?
Oh, nicely said.
Most of the time, they vanish
Yeah.
because they're like, "Oh my God, I'm an idiot," and then they put their tail between their legs and run away, right? Or sometimes I will, when I get into an argument, I will set the rules of the fight before I start talking,
Which
right?
is how?
Yeah.
So I will ask the person, "What is the issue that you have a problem with?" Right? And so at that point, when they try to explain, their point of view, sometimes they might have a good, valid point, right?
Yes.
A typical troll, what they'll do is halfway when you were winning, will try to change the conversation.
Yes.
And that's where you can buy like, "I asked you what your problem is. Why are we talking about something else
Yeah,
now?"
exactly.
Yes.
And then again, usually, you that's at the point,
Again,
where
you
they.
haven't met my family.
I like a good debate, good argument.
But sometimes, it's still okay to agree to disagree.
Yes, exactly.
And
Yeah.
you end up
Look, I'll tell
being
you
civil.
something. Do you love your mother?
Of course.
Do you love your mother?
With
Yeah.
all my heart.
Have you ever fought with your mother?
All the time. All the time.
Just because you fight and just because you disagree
Yeah.
doesn't
Doesn't
mean that the
mean-
love is gone.
Yeah.
That's
Yes,
true.
exactly.
That's
you know?
true.
So it's okay to disagree. It's
Yeah.
okay to have different opinions, you
100%.
know?
Yeah.
It's the issue is that when most people feel like they are not being accepted or not being heard,
Yeah.
you know? Again, as long as you show people like, listen, I respect your opinion,
Yes.
but this is how I feel.
Yeah.
I'm not invalidating your emotions,
Yes,
you know?
yes.
Sometimes people will be very aggressive and not even care about how you feel or what you're
Yeah,
going
yeah,
through.
yeah, yeah.
At that point, you're like, conversation's over. Actually, this happened to me 3 or 4 days ago, actually. I had a conversation with someone, and the person was being extremely rude. Then went into attacking, saying rude things, you know, about, you know, the royal family and so on. It was for some foreigner who came in, you know. And I said, all right, conversation's over.
Yeah.
Block.
Totally.
You know, I don't mind blocking, you know.
Yeah.
And it's a last resort, by the way.
Yeah.
I don't mind. You want to disagree with me? I don't mind. You can say and do whatever you want. You know.
Don't be offensive. I mean, I have a problem.
Yeah.
And you see, as a woman, I also face what I call predators.
Mm-hmm.
You know, somebody who will turn around and first give you a compliment, and then if you say thank you very much, he wants to say a few more
Yeah.
not so parliamentary stuff
Yeah.
and things like that, and then try to inbox you or you know
Yeah.
thing.
And then they'll try to, you know, gaslight you. You asked for it. You told her whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
No, I didn't.
No,
I didn't.
No, I
So,
didn't. No,
yeah.
I didn't. Yeah.
Right. Okay, so we digressed a little bit. Now, what are we going to be expecting from Khalifa in the next 5 years?
Well, my plan is to expand 974 regionally.
Regionally.
I want it to become, you know, as big as I can be. Now the company is valued at $250 million.
Oh.
My goal is to get it, you know, past the billion mark.
Wow.
Once that happens, inshallah, then at least I can sit back and feel like I've built something important.
Any prospect of making an IPO or something?
I was actually considering it,
Getting listed,
and I actually asked the question on my own LinkedIn, and it was interesting because some people, again, sadly, when you put a question out like that, you get 50-50 answers, so it didn't help me. But I had some people who said, "Listen, when you go IPO, you know, you don't focus on the business, you end up focusing on the shareholders, and you end up losing, you know, your vision." Another person said, "You know, but going that way will give you a huge cash injection, you know."
Yeah.
And you reduce your overall, you know, risk.
Yeah. Or you can go to a VC.
You know, you could. So I'm open to many different things. So right now I'm just trying to explore, you know, what the options are. So that's
Okay.
for that.
Yeah.
ILQ, the Isle of Qatar Network, it's very interesting because I would love somebody who's passionate to eventually come and take it over, just buy the company. But it has to be somebody who doesn't just want to turn it into a business and to keep the positive
The flavor.
message, you know, alive.
Yes.
So, because again, you know, it's about passing on the torch.
Yeah.
But the reason why I hold on to it is because Isle of Qatar is so important to the country
True.
that I can't just give it up, you know, just to anybody.
Yeah.
It's not about the money. It's about the responsibility to society.
Are you currently mentoring someone to become the next Mr. Q?
No, I don't have time to mentor.
Or is that something that you want to do in the future? Maybe,
I don't. No. Answer is no.
That is-
It's not. It's not in my.
There's no black and white.
There's no black and
There's
white,
no
no.
choices. There's no. It's simple no.
It
We
is
give
black.
no choice here.
Yeah, I mean, again, I'm in the moment. Right now, my answer is
Yeah.
no. Ask me tomorrow, maybe it's yes.
Maybe it's
Depending on.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll take a short break and we'll be back right after this with my favorite part of the show, which is the
rapid
rapid
fire.
fire questions.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Change Makers.
Welcome back to the channel, and we basically going to have the fast rapid fire question.
Yeah.
Okay, so Khalifa, the first series of questions is you have to complete the sentence
Fill in the blanks.
and fill in the blanks.
Okay.
Okay. What, in your opinion, is the one innovation that's changed the world?
Internet.
Good. Qatar has the best blank.
Can I think or no? The first thing that came to my mind was Karak.
That's good.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
Karak. I agree.
Yeah. I know a lot of the Indian, you know, community are gonna be like, no, India has the best. Listen,
Yeah.
we got it from you,
Yeah.
and you helped us make it better.
Better, yeah.
You know what? The first time I came here in Qatar, I bought ingredients
Yeah.
and took it back home.
Yeah.
For me to make a karak.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
It changed
I agree.
everything, man.
Yeah.
Trust me,
It
you
does.
know. It's,
Yes.
It does.
That's why I have people in the region, by the way, when they fly over, I'm talking about other Arabs from
Yeah.
Kuwait. and Bahrain, they're like, no, we want the Qatari Karak. You know?
Karak, yes, it is one of the best. Yes.
Okay, so I would like to interview blank.
Jim Carrey.
Oh, okay.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Expand.
I love his attitude. I love his story. I love the fact that he cared about his family. I love the fact that he is such a funny actor, makes people laugh.
Yes.
But equally, I like the fact that he is a very I think he's wiser than people
Think he
know.
is. Yes, he's brilliant
He's
man.
really
He's a
Yeah,
brilliant man.
you know, and the fact, you know, that
Artistic and all,
he and he's also he's taken on, you know, he's gone out of his comfort zone and done movies, you know, that a lot of people, you know, probably attacked him, you know, for like, oh, you
Yeah.
stick to comedy or whatever. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And you know, the fact that now he's doing art and he's, you know, very outspoken. I don't know. I just feel like I can relate to him
Somebody-
quite a lot. And
Yeah.
if there was one person, you know, that I wanted to meet,
Yeah.
it would be Jim Carrey. Yeah.
Okay. We all, I'm assuming you're a book reader. The one
Used to be.
book, the one book that changed your life.
I'll tell you a book series that sticks out, and I know it sounds so simple, you know, it's not like, it's not a deep. There's two books. One book is called My Dad Says. It's the story of this guy who basically talks about his dad who passed away and the things that he used to randomly say to him as he was growing up.
Yeah.
And he just shares these really funny stories, you know, that
Yeah.
happened and
Yeah.
that, you know, somehow result in something deep and meaningful,
Yes.
you know?
Yeah.
So I like that book. And then I guess another book that actually impacted me a lot is the Harry Potter series.
Oh yeah, of course.
I would always read a couple of chapters before going to bed. And I really genuinely believe, okay,
Yeah.
that if you read any book, a couple of chapters before going to bed,
Yes.
it really increases your intelligence. I feel like you
Yes.
go to sleep, your brain is still working and
Yes.
doing its thing to, you know, multiply its cells, and then you
Yeah.
just start to become a more
Yeah. I do that with murder mysteries.
intelligent person. All right.
Because I'm trying to figure out who's the murderer, and I
Yeah.
read a lot of Agatha Christie and all the murder thing. And the whole night I'm trying to figure out. My husband's like, "It's not a good thing. It's not a good sign. You're reading murder mysteries."
My,
Go to bed.
yeah, you go to bed one night, you know, with a knife next to your side table, you know.
yeah.
But that's how you keep them in check, you know.
Yeah. Exactly. yeah.
So I know all the
Yeah,
techniques.
I know all the techniques.
My mom reads a lot of murder mysteries.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot, you know. So she's got a huge library, you know,
Yeah.
of books.
I-
If you love murder mysteries, there's a show on Apple TV,
Yeah.
After Party.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's another one called Only
Only Murders in the Building.
Yeah,
we were just talking about it
We
a
were
while
just
ago.
talking about it today.
Last episode was
Last
really good. If there's one food, only one food that you can eat for the rest of your life, what would that food be?
Don't say karak. You already
Burgers.
said karak. Burgers.
I love burgers. There's so many ways that you can create
Yes.
burgers, and a burger is not a burger is not a burger. You know, you can't compare a McDonald's burger to a Five Guys burger to a Gordon Ramsay burger. You know, and I recently talked
yeah.
on social media. I found this restaurant in Korea, and it's a Gordon Ramsay's restaurant. It's called Street Burger, not to be confused with the gourmet burgers that he has everywhere
Yeah,
else.
yeah.
If you watch the movie called The Menu,
Yes.
at the end scene when they make that delicious burger,
Yes.
it tastes exactly as I imagined the burger in the movie would taste.
Oh.
It is my favorite burger of all time. So delicious.
That's in Korea.
I was in Korea that they had it, and yeah, so I just love burgers.
Wow.
It's just so good, you know. You can change the sauce. You
yes.
can change the cheese. Do you
Yeah.
want it to be fluffy? Do you want it to be smashed? Do you want it to be condensed? You see? So by giving me a burger, you've actually given me so many
So many
options.
options. Yes.
So I can't segue into my next question because it's no connection at all.
Okay.
What is the most adventurous thing you have ever done?
I don't think I can answer that question because I have a bucket list.
Ah.
And in my
Like
bucket
me.
list, I have a list of things that are out there that
Have you
I
done
have
it?
to do it. I've done a lot of it, yeah.
Okay.
Remember the first time I talked about comedy?
Yes.
You know, I did a comedy show one time. Like, not that I just brought them over, but I actually got on stage.
I know.
You know,
And
with
you-
thousands of people. You
and
know,
were fantastic.
Thank you.
So it was at the QNCC at the Almayasa Hall, and he opened the show, and he was amazing.
I've never done comedy in my life. You know, I just
But you
thought
were
I want to do it.
amazing.
You know,
Yeah.
so I just did it. You know.
Yeah, but you were amazing.
From an adventurous perspective, you know, I feel like I think I've done a lot. So many things, you know. I've gone on, you know, races to almost dying, you know, in the sea to you know, climbing buildings to like I'll do everything. I'll
Oh
try
my
it
God.
because you know I had this fear growing up that I would die young. So I felt like I need to do as much as possible before I die.
Yeah, even I thought
You
I
know,
would die young and,
yeah.
and beautiful and very rich and whatever happening.
Interesting thought. Okay, if you could create a utopian society, what are the 3 core values that you want in that society?
Oh, 3 core values. Okay.
It's a deep question.
Deep.
And it's supposed to be a one line, right?
Yeah.
I think, I would want the people to be supportive, and kind, individuals. I would want the country to always, or the society, to put the people first always. That's how we make the decision. And then number 3, a country that focuses on family values.
Okay, lovely.
Very nice.
Lovely.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of countries that we see burning today
Yes.
is because they are the individuals have grown up to become selfish instead of selfless, and caring about their families,
I think, I mean, my personal view would be, I would also add letting women
Thrive.
thrive. I think that's a very important thing.
Yeah,
for
but you see, that's
aspects.
also where where I feel like kindness comes into play, right?
Correct, correct.
Because
The
when you are
mothers teach
kind, you will enable people to do
Yeah.
what they need to do instead of trying to hold them down.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which
Yeah.
is also why we love Qatar. Because Qatar, if you take a look at all the development projects that they
Yes.
have, the parks that they're building,
Yeah.
at the core of all of these is that they want family to be together.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
that's
that's
one thing I learned in the Middle East.
Exactly.
Families
So-
always comes first before
Yeah.
anything else. I mean,
Yeah.
Okay, so everybody has a ritual. Late riser, early riser, whatever. Morning person, night person. What is the first thing you do when you get up in the morning?
First thing I do is push snooze.
I relate to that. Yeah.
Yeah. It's really bad, but I'll push the snooze like 10 times.
10 times, eh?
Yeah. But doing that actually makes you more tired,
yeah.
You should really just wake up and you're supposed
Yeah,
to.
I'm one step ahead of that.
Yeah.
Instead of putting it on snooze,
I switch
I
it off.
put like 10 alarms, 15 minutes.
Yeah, but what's the point? Your snooze is going to be 7 to 10 minutes anyway, so just tap on snooze,
Just tap on snooze.
So you literally push those?
Yeah. Every morning I had to push snooze.
Yeah.
Because I don't know. Maybe it's a control thing. It's like, I decide when I wake up. No, but I'm also the type of person, I would rather have 5 more minutes of sleep than if it means I have to skip breakfast. You know what I mean?
Oh my God, no.
Yeah.
No, nothing stops me from the food.
Yeah, it's sleep first for me.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so wake up, check my phone, check some emails, see what thousands of messages I had since I went to sleep. Wake up, go to the bathroom, brush my teeth, wash my face, put some moisturizer on.
I saw that. I saw the moisturizer bit. In one of the hotels that you were talking about the moisturizer or some
Was I? I don't know.
What is something that you're still trying to figure out about life?
There are questions that I ask myself that I know have no answer or not worth thinking about.
Yeah.
Such as,
Yeah.
why do bad people do cruel things?
Oh.
Yeah.
So sometimes
Very
I'll
valid
think
question.
about it, like what's the motivation behind doing such a thing, But then at that point, it's like, what can I do by thinking about that, Unless I'm some social, scientist or something, trying to put together a plan.
Yeah.
That's on the deep side. On the light side, sometimes I'll look at a dog and I'll wonder what it's thinking. What are you thinking, man?
I know my animals are pretty clear. I've got cats and dogs and everything. I know they're pretty clear about who gets to sleep next to mom and dad.
Yeah.
That's it. That's
Okay.
only that's all you're interested in. So in all the life that you've led, very successful career, very successful entrepreneur, very successful everything else. What kind of legacy would you be leaving behind? What do you think your legacy is going to be?
From a business perspective, you're talking about?
No, just life.
General.
General.
Well, I really hope at this point, it'll be what I said before, is that like my legacy will be like, Khalifa's a nice and helpful guy,
Yeah. To be a nice person.
Yeah.
And how would you like to be remembered?
I mean, equally, I think my answer would be the same. Like, I'm a simple man,
Yeah.
Just want to be just a good guy,
Okay.
Yeah.
So your IG is very interesting. Your bio is very interesting. You say, I'm going to change the world. Who's with me? Okay. So how are you currently doing it right now? Or should I say, how far along are you or how close are you to changing the world?
But I think everything that we do, affects or impacts, the community in some shape or form, right?
Yes.
you don't have to do something super wild to change the world, right?
Correct.
It's a butterfly
Small
effect,
step.
you know?
Yeah.
I think that I'm impacting, you know, the world by the way that I take care of my staff and I treat them. And when COVID hit, you know, in certain the businesses, first thing I did is I told my staff, listen, guys, I know business is hurting, but don't worry about your jobs. You know, you'll be taken care of. You know, so I want to make sure, you know, that I pass on certain values, you know, to my employees, because maybe one day they will have their own company and they will do the same, right?
Yeah.
I think I Love Qatar, you know, as a company, you know, has impacted people by helping them to live the best life that they can in the country, because now they know what's going on. You know, they know what's happening.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
They get to have fun.
Yeah.
I think, you know, I look at Store 974, some people be like, oh, but that's just a gaming company or just an electronics, you know, company. But no, I mean, I've seen us create amazing moments where in our build bar, where you can pick parts up and you can assemble. I've seen father and son, you know, sitting together trying to learn how to build a computer. That's a moment that I'm telling you the kid will never forget.
Yes,
You know,
exactly.
we've put together, you know, for example, esports courses, you know, with ISL. You know, we're really happy to, you know, provide, you know, them with help. Some people be like, yeah, but why are you teaching the kids how to play? We're not teaching the kids how to play. We're teaching the kids how to work together, how to play together, to work as a
Yes.
team, and to, you know, teaching them social skills. You
Yes.
know. There was one point, you know, where we had given some VR goggles and done a special, you know, team building session for kids with autism. And so some of these kids had social anxiety, and when they were asked to work together in a physical space, they just couldn't work together, just weren't able to. But when we put them in the VR world and we put the goggles on them, even though they are talking, even though that they are talking to each other, because they're in a virtual world, it feels like a game to them. They ended up completing the task together, you know. So
okay.
it gave them a way of interacting, you know, in a safe space to them, you know. So I think we are changing the world. The way that I change the world is literally in everything that I do. I always think about, you know, the positive result in my actions. Sometimes I make mistakes, but
all do.
it's okay, you
Yeah.
know.
You
Don't
just
do it
get
again.
up, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Don't do it again. So with that, we're going to end today's session. Khalifa, for the audience, would you like to say your various, and it's going to go on forever, IG, Facebook, Instagram, I mean Instagram also mentioned, but websites that you are available, and where somebody wants to reach out to you, how can they reach out to you?
Yeah, so I'm on almost every single platform. You guys can check out, except for Snapchat. I'm not very common, you know.
Yeah,
don't
even I'm
post
not
very-
very common.
So yeah, you can follow me on I Love Qatar, and if you want to check out the other pages, you've got Raqami TV, you've got ILQ Live, and you've got Store 974.
That's it. And if you want his number, you can call me. I'll try not to give it. We are also available. I'm available on Sakla's Life, which is my my YouTube channel. You will be seeing this very soon. We are going to be launching a website which is called the changemakers.pro. Thanks to the team. And Leo, if you could give your details, it would be great.
I'm also on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, BTS or Behind the Success.
Thank you so much, and thank you, Khalifa, for coming here. And
Thank you so
for
much.
doing
Thank
this.
you very
Yes,
much.
Thanks.
Appreciate it.
Thank
Yeah.
you, team.
How many times have you heard these phrases?
Change is the only constant.
Is it too late to change?
If only I could, I'd really want to change this.
In this channel, you don't have to wonder. We are going to interview people who really make a difference to this world.
Let their stories inspire and empower you to create the change you want to see.
Who knows, you could be the next change maker.
Welcome to the Change Makers.